Hello, I'm Eric Houston, and welcome to In Focus. Tonight we're focusing in on one of our youngest volunteer producers, Devry Foss, and his show, Local Edition. Since 2008, Local Edition has been a staple of the NMTV airwaves, combining frank and funny studio-based discussions of youth opinions with wonderful on-the-scene reporting and highly innovative editing. Take a look.
Gas prices were too high for a period of time. When we go back to 2008, some of our shows, we were really talking about a jump in gas prices. What do you think about the current state in our gas prices?
Well, I think we're getting close to $2. I mean, it has been raising.
Yeah.
And I hope that it doesn't raise too much more.
I'm sure everybody does, you know.
But I think it should stay at where it's at or go lower, because that's pretty expensive for.
Right. I mean, depending on which cars you have. My dad has a Honda SI, and the thing about this car is it doesn't take unleaded. I remember it was funny. We went to a gas station in Maple Grove called the Petropad. And the thing is, we went there, the quality of the gas, or like I don't know what it's called, there's certain numbers that they rate it by. It wasn't even high enough for us.
Devry, thank you for joining us here today on In Focus.
Thank you for having me.
Devry, it is a pleasure.
Oh, stop it.
Devry, let's start. I'd like to know, tell me, what is Local Edition?
Local Edition, ever since 2008, has been a show with me and another co-host my age, and we just discussed, what was going on in the world, what was going on, and stuff like that. It's just really a range of every topic you could think of: gas prices, politics, what was going on with the weather.
So it's mostly kind of a talk show.
Mostly kind of a talk show, yeah.
And you're talking about, I think the tagline that you use most often is the youth's opinion.
Yeah.
Is that right?
Yeah, that was, I called it our slogan for a long time.
Okay. So you say you've been doing that for a long time. How long, Devry? How long have you been doing Local Edition?
Well, I know for sure that we came here on October 7th, 2008.
How do you know that?
Well, I wanted to remember it, and I guess it's just stuck in my mind.
So you wanted to remember it. You came here on, what was the date again, October 7th?
October 7th.
Why? Why did you come here? What brought you here in the first place?
Well, for a long time, when I moved here in 2006, I came right from East Bethel.
Mm-hmm.
And so there was no, cable television up there. We didn't have cable television stations where we could do that kind of stuff. Like
you didn't have a public access.
I should say that.
Okay.
And when we came down here, I noticed North Metro Channel 15.
Mm-hmm.
That's what the sign said, and I was wondering, that's kind of cool. There's a TV station like right up the street.
Mm-hmm.
Forever, I didn't really know what it was, and of course, it was pretty new at that time. But Austin and I, my old co-host, we were hanging out all the time. We would go places, just go anywhere. We went to a medical center to get like some pre-first aid kit once.
I remember that.
Yeah, and we eventually came across, on a cold day, North Metro TV, which we just kind of sat in the lobby chairs and, watched the televisions, and eventually you came out.
I remember that day very well myself, Devry. I didn't remember the date. Mm-hmm. I remember you and Austin coming in. I remember giving you the tour, the dime tour.
Oh,
I believe there were T-shirts.
There was T-shirts.
Devry, how old were you then?
I was 11.
You were 11 years old.
Mm-hmm.
How old are you now?
I am 14.
You're 14. That is crazy, Devry.
Pretty crazy.
You are still one of our youngest producers.
Mm-hmm.
When you started coming here, that was certainly true as well. 11 years old. How long after you came here that first time did you start doing a show, roughly?
Well, I remember this. We came into the studio, and the first day we came here with that tour, we went back. We went home, put on our T-shirts, came back like half an hour later, and we just did a test.
That's right. I remember that.
Little test, and then after that, we were talking about forums. Of course, we were really excited about getting going. So getting going, we were thinking of a name. We talked to Ben and Danica. We were the news producers, and we're just trying to come up with an idea. Eventually, we thought Local Edition. We're locally, and we're just kind of getting started, and why not add Edition in there?
But I would think that most people your age would think, well, I'm a little kid. There is no way that I can make a TV show.
before I came here, I saw the the promos and everything about making your own TV show. I thought that was for adults. I really didn't have any idea about it, and I really, I wasn't interested in actually doing it at first. When I was just watching TV channel surfing, I saw it. I wasn't interested in first, but then I thought, well, this place is just down the street, and I've heard of public access before. I've seen some of the productions, so I thought, you know what. And Austin had been in a tour here in 4th grade.
Oh, for Cub Scouts.
For Cub Scouts.
Sure.
And he came with the school. And yeah, so I just thought, you know what? Why not go up there, see if I can get a tour or something, and just see what it's about.
Okay, but before coming here, you didn't have any plans to do a show?
Nothing.
Well, then how did the idea to do the show that you did come about? You said that you went home and started talking about it with Austin.
Yeah.
But how did it evolve?
Well, it was, at first we were really thinking, I was really interested in weather. I was into that kind of thing, and I had my own little weather station at home. But I really didn't think that weather would be interesting for a show, one after another, to keep talking about the weather, especially with Minnesota, everybody knows the seasons, and everybody does. It snows in the winter. It's hot. It's just, there's not much to talk about. If there's a big storm, it's not like we can go out and shoot some footage of it because, you're going to want to be inside or something, and you're not going to necessarily, if they're saying,
you're not going to want to inconvenience yourself.
No. And if they predict weather one weekend and we decide, let's quick go check out equipment, I just didn't think it would work out.
Okay.
So
I remember those initial shows. Those initial shows are you and Austin kind of sitting in here in Studio B at North Metro TV, talking about the weather and gas prices and politics and things. Is the show still the same, or has it changed? And if so, how has it changed?
It's radically changed because I'm using that word because we don't want to talk about politics and stuff like stuff that would really reflect our opinions about the government.
Okay.
Because we were finding ourselves getting into really long conversations about, arguing back and forth between our current president, and we thought maybe part of it was going a little bit too far, and eventually we were losing interest in it.
Okay.
And I think that's part of the reason why Austin, my old co-host, did leave.
Okay.
Because the shows weren't getting as fun. They weren't, you weren't excited every time about doing it. That's why we thought, before Austin and I were looking to do a fun show that kids can watch, not necessarily for, some adult to hear, the kid and go, oh, that's so cute. We wanted more of a kids audience or young adult audience that was about our age.
Okay.
So
you felt like the politics was miring you. You thought, let's make it more fun. And so now what's the show like now?
There's lots of laughs. Ben and I laugh a lot on the set just because...
Your new co-host,
Yes.
Ben Reyes.
Yeah. We laugh so much on the set that my sides hurt later because he's really funny. I never thought I would get... I met him just like he was at our lunch table at school. And so I never thought I would bring him into the studio because anyone at school, I can't really think of anyone that, would probably want to come on a political opinion show. So that's why the new change was really good.
Okay. The other thing that you haven't really talked about yet, Devry, is that you've also broken out of the studio. There's still that component where it's talking about things in a studio setting and debating and making jokes and things like that. But there's also a lot more stuff that you either go out into the community and shoot or that you make here in the edit rooms. Can you tell me about that a little bit?
We've done a lot, before the change and after the change. We've done a lot outside of the studio. For example, 2 short films that I've made. My main one, we made Coolness in Action. I did that with Austin. That was a short film. That was just for fun. We didn't even plan a script. It was just, we got a camera, we went to a park, and we started shooting. So that was just a learning experience. But when I finally got down to really learning how to do, TV production and making something that is well planned out and it's edited and everything, that's when I made Peril of the Lost Card, which was in a film competition for the Quiet in the Set short film competition. And that one I think was very successful because I had a plan And the thing about that is every camera shot, almost every camera shot was done by me. I was completely independent on it, other than Joe Karpowicz, who produced another show here. He helped me out, and he was one of the actors.
Yeah.
That was about it.
Right.
You know, we had someone from the library, like, give him a library card. But yeah, that was a very...
But this was something different than Local Edition.
Yeah.
We're getting away from that just a little bit right now. And this was a short film. This was a scripted short film, so different from anything you did.
Yeah, very different.
What were the special challenges of that then that were different from kind of the loose talk show that you normally do to do something that was, you know, more scripted, more of a fiction narrative?
Well, there was a lot of, you know, different challenges I had to deal with because, you know, when you have to put together, when we were doing our talk show, it was sort of improvised.
Yeah.
You know, we didn't script it much. We just tried to stay within our time. With this, I mean, I did have a 5-minute limit, but, you know, I had to put together a script and decide how long this is going to be, how many cuts there's going to be, because when you do it with one camera, you know, you think, I want to get this shot, and then I want it to look like this in a real movie, so you have to take the camera, move it, and then do it as identically as you can.
Right.
So there is challenges of having to redo it. You know, you had to act. It wasn't just sitting around, you know, hey, what's going on? You know, it wasn't a talk show.
You know what? I'd like to talk a little bit more about Peril of the Lost Card, and then I want to get back to Local Edition. But let's go ahead and let's take a look. Let's watch Peril of the Lost Card right now. All right.
The library will be closing in 5 minutes.
Where's my library card? Sir, that's my card.
It's not yours.
What are you talking about? It has my name on it. That's my card.
Oh, so this is your name. Well, I found this card. Finders, keepers, losers, weepers.
What are you talking about? That has my name on it. It's my card.
Just that I've never had a library card of my own.
Why didn't you just say you wanted your own library card? Because I know Jill. She's a librarian that, she set me up with my card. She can easily set you up with your card.
Let's go get me one now, too.
So you need to get a library card?
Yes, I do.
Here's your library card.
So that was Peril of the Lost Card. I think it was pretty good.
I thought so too.
So what? And obviously, it's a library-centric movie.
Yeah.
I remember that was part of the requirements.
Yeah.
But how else did you develop the story?
Well, the story, I've seen films, where they kind of, somebody runs into a problem and they have to fix it, and I thought, well, I'll be running into a problem by losing my library card, and
Fair
that's
enough.
basically what happens. That's the problem, and the climax turns out to be that the villain is found, library card's returned, but then the villain himself gets a library card, so it's a really happy ending.
It is a pretty happy ending.
Yeah.
Now, getting back though to local edition. So how do you go about? So today, when you do that show, how do you go about doing it? What's the process like of developing and shooting an episode of local edition?
Well, it's actually I have some difficulty now with the new concept because before we had, every time we did a show, we knew what we were going to talk about. It was going to be politics and weather. We came up with little names, for it.
The news chat, the gas chat.
Yeah.
I remember. Yes.
Yeah, and now we have to have different content every time. It won't be the same. We're not going to use the same content every time. So it's a little bit more hard to come up with ideas and everything. And that's why I've been doing holidays where we focus on a holiday. But we don't want to keep doing that. We're going to try to find something that we can use every show that would really be the topic every show, but not exactly the same. So just so we can develop that.
What's your favorite thing that's happened to you because of the show?
Well, there's a lot of favorite things, and I've got a list here of just some of the things I've done because I've done so much.
Yes.
And it's a lot of fun, and a lot of it is when we go out of the studio.
Right.
Like I said, coolness in action. But we went to the Metrodome, and at the Metrodome they have these races, these marathons. And I covered it because my dad and my sister were in it. So I've done that for 2 years.
And they're rollerblade races.
Rollerblade race. See, it's a little different. I learned a lot from that. The first one wasn't as good as the second one, and that's kind of how I learned because, once you do it once and you get familiar with it, I go down there a lot just to rollerblade, but once you kind of learn the environment of, the lighting in there, everything was really different than a studio. So
Sure.
And there's a few other things we did local edition extra. We weren't in the studio at all. Everything was out in the field, as I called it.
Yeah.
Everything
That's
was
what we do call it.
Well, that's what we do call it. And everything was out in the field. Other than that, I had my voiceover. I had a voiceover going, just kind of explaining what it was. But there was nothing in the studio.
I'd like to grab onto that voiceover for a second because I think that's one of the really cool things you've done with your show. I think you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, I know it. Yeah, I bet a lot of people see movie trailers when they're in the middle of watching their show, and you might recognize a really deep voice that you hear a lot
in a lot of movie trailers. Yeah.
Well, a lot of people probably don't know his name, but his name is Brian Lee.
Yes.
And he deserves a lot of credit because I think his voice is really good for like, it adds a lot to in opening to a show or a trailer for movies. And he's done a lot of trailers. So all I did was went to his website, I emailed him, and he got back to me the next day. And I asked him, can you do the voiceovers for our opening, our commercials, and stuff like that? And he said, sure, and he did he emailed me a whole list of everything that I had asked him to do. And he let me pick and choose from which one was the best. And then I even went back to him later for our Christmas show when we got our new co-host, Ben. And he was able to re-record some of them.
Local Edition with your hosts, Devry Foss and Ben Reyes, right here on Channel 14. Visit NorthMetroTV.com for showtime.
There were a couple more you wanted to mention.
Yeah, we went to Feed My Starving Children because during the time of the Haiti earthquake, that was huge. There was just a ton of destruction. And a lot of people, didn't really know how to help. And there's many ways, but my school was doing something called Hearts for Haiti, where a group called Stand would go down to feed my starving children and pack meals. So what I decided to do is we took a camera down there and we filmed the process. You know, we talked a little bit about it and had some interviews with the people that run it. And Father Reiser was there. He's someone from a church that was there, and yeah, he was there, and it was a lot of fun. You know, just to get some interviews and learn how they pack the foods and ship it all the way out of Haiti. And yeah, that was a lot of fun. And of course our Christmas shows. But when we also did an interview with some other people.
Yeah.
One that I waited 3 years for.
Oh, that's right.
3 years for Fox 9 Chief Meteorologist Ian Leonard. And, you know, I've watched him on TV for so many years, and I just thought he's the best meteorologist I've ever seen.
Yeah.
You know,
He's your favorite.
he's my favorite.
You're a weather fan. You're a meteorology fan.
Yeah.
And this guy was always your favorite. You always talked to me about wanting to get this guy on the show.
Yeah.
And finally, last year, you did it.
I did it, yeah, and it was a lot of fun because, specifically because the way he answered the questions made it so easy for me to be like in your seat right now. I'd say, how long have you been a meteorologist? And he wouldn't answer it with, 2 years.
Right.
You know, he hasn't been a meteorologist for 2 years. But, I mean, he went all the way back into the history, and it was a good interview because I learned a lot, and he answered questions that I didn't even ask. So
you even learned a lot about interviewing just
Yeah.
by talking to the guy. That's great, Devry. That's
So yeah, we've done it. We've done a few things, but those are the major ones.
right.
You know.
And those are the favorite things.
Favorite things.
What are the least favorite things about doing the show?
Least favorite things. I mean, of course, planning.
Yeah.
But when people get upset about what you're doing,
Have people gotten upset about what you're doing?
people, at several occasions.
Several occasions.
Several occasions.
Explain.
Well, I registered to go into the Today Show contest, which was featuring kid reporters.
I remember this.
I was right at the age limit, and I thought, well, I'm going to do this before it's too late. So you helped me out a lot with it, and I appreciate that. But before you helped me out, I tried to do my own. I didn't think it went very well. So while we were filming, we were at this gas station, and we just wanted to get the highway behind us. Well, there's this dry cleaner store that was, just on the other side. And so, as I'm setting up, I see this lady in the window, and she's taking pictures. And so she's taking multiple pictures, and eventually I'm just like, that's another fan. But I guess it wasn't. So I was posing, and I really did. And I just thought, you know what? I don't know what she's doing, but I'll let her do it. And eventually, a very young, nice policeman in his police car comes in the middle of my thing. I'm just like, oh, this is nice. And, he came around. He had to ask for all my information. And it wasn't fun because I just didn't see what I was doing wrong.
Sure.
I was frustrated. I was like, I don't know what I'm doing wrong.
Well, again, Devry, you handle it very well.
Yeah.
I mean, those sorts of problems are going to come up. And I know another problem that you've had over the years is just finding crew.
Yeah. Well, we wanted to stay at a youth-based crew at the same time. And we didn't really, it's hard to get kids from school just to, hey, I do a show at North Metro TV. Would you come down and like do the lights or something or the audio? And I was going around a little bit. And people would come to me and say, hey, I should help you out. And people wanted to be like, oh, we should be your hairdresser. I had girls saying that. It's like, no, we're good.
Nothing really helpful.
No, it was just stuff like, I can do my own hair.
Right.
But what I was looking for was camera people, directors, and eventually we didn't have a director, so we took the initiative and just put tapes in each camera.
That's right. Now, what most of our students and volunteer producers and stuff know, but what people at home might not know, is that here in the studio we have 3 cameras that shoot all the action. Right now, I think we're seeing camera 3, but if Pat, who's directing right now, will show us camera 2. And camera 1. We have these cameras all going at once, so we can see all these different angles at the same time. And it also cuts down on time a lot. But you put a tape into each camera and then had to edit that on your own.
And when you do an hour-and-a-half show,
Yeah.
and you have to switch the tapes, and you realize in the middle of the tape, you run out of disk space
On the computer.
You're not. Yeah, you're not very happy.
Right. And now, though, you're lucky enough. You know, usually you can get one or two people to help you on a show. Guys like Rick or Joe or Josh will come and help you out. And in turn, you help out on a lot of other shows.
Yeah.
What are some of the other shows that you've helped out on, Devry?
Well, Joe's show, Minnesota Hot Rod TV. He's really generous about me helping out. He would pay for me to go to back to the 50s at the state fairgrounds, and he'd buy me food. He bought me pizza when we filmed at his house, so that was a lot of fun. So you get a good opportunity to meet a lot of people. I've helped out Art Beat before with a lot of in studio stuff. I've helped out some other shows, here and there.
You helped out on this show last time. You usually help out on Wednesdays with Barbie.
Yeah.
One of the other shows we produce here. You're all over the place, Devry.
I'm all over the place.
You're all over the place.
So you better watch out. But no,
Got my eyes on you, Devry Foss.
I've got my eyes on you too.
All right.
You're
All
looking,
right.
yeah.
One last question, Devry, before we wrap up and take a look at another clip from Local Edition. Devry, what do you want to be when you grow up?
For a long time, I wanted to be a meteorologist.
Yes.
But I don't think I really want to anymore.
Yeah.
Because I've learned so much here, and I've bought my own drive. I got my own Mac, so I could start doing it at home. And I'm pretty committed to the show and everything, and I think this is a great place to start out, almost like a career, And I've learned so much about this, and I like the environment of everything, how everything goes, and I think when I grow up, I want to keep doing TV production of some kind.
Yeah.
I'm not sure I'm a really good editor because it just comes to me where I just have these ideas and I put them on the computer, which eventually is on the people's TVs. So and it's just a neat thing.
Yeah.
I think.
Well,
So.
Devry, I'm glad to hear that. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you for having me again.
It was a pleasure. Devry, and everybody at home, make sure to watch Local Edition. That's at different times. So you have to go to northmetrotv.com, look up Local Edition and find it. But Devry, thanks again for joining us. And let's take another look at Local Edition.
Without further ado, I'm sorry to say and report to you, but Local Edition is over. We're ending. So, for Local Edition, I've been your host, Devry Foss.
And I have been your host, Ben Rays.
We're so glad that you're joining us.
And we'll see you next time.
Bye-bye.
Oh, we were just kidding with you. Goodbye, everybody. Have fun.
I'd like to thank Devry again for joining us on this episode of In Focus. I'd also like to thank our wonderful crew, who, as always, was made up of students from our free monthly How to Make a TV Show class series. To sign up for this or any of our other free classes, visit northmetrotv.com or call me at 763-231-2803 or email eric@northmetrotv.com. That's all for In Focus this month. Thanks for joining us.